Okay lads, it finally happened. The Switch 2 has finally been officially announced. As per tradition at this point, every new major Nintendo console comes with a brand new Super Smash Bros. Title, and with a new title comes new fighters. Luckily for us, I'm a very sneaky YouTuber who got into Nintendo's totally real secret vault of super secret future very real plans, and I managed to snag this secret document with their plans for the next game. Okay, let's uncrumple this bad boy and see what it says. Dear Sakurai, we spent all of our money on ninjas to take out the Switch 2 leakers, and as such, we don't have any money for negotiating for new franchises to put in the next Smash game, Super Duper Smash Bros. Ultimate. You can, however, add one new fighter from each of the 40 franchises that already exist in Ultimate. Please have the game on my desk by next Monday. Whoa there, gamers! This is huge and totally real, so let's figure out who these 40 fighters are gonna be. I think since I'm the one with this document, that means Nintendo is giving me full control over this next game. So come join me as I explain all of the objectively correct picks, because today we are answering the age-old question of what if every franchise in Smash got one additional fighter. I am going to at least try to have some objectivity in my picks today and not exclusively pick who I personally would want most every single time, mind you. I mean, since I am the game director of this new title, I do want it to sell well after all. Without further ado, let's get started. Starting of course with Super Mario! Super Mario is one of, if not the most well-represented franchise in Smash, so that leaves us with an interesting set of possibilities as to who could be added. I see three major players here to discuss. First off, of course, we have Waluigi, everyone's favorite lanky purple gremlin man. He could have a moveset meant to celebrate the sports and party games he appears in. Next, we have an interesting spin on one of the most classic Mario characters there is, and that is Captain Toad. He could bring a lot of fun stuff like swinging a pickaxe, digging for treasure, riding a minecart. And our third option might technically be cheating. It could be one of the many characters celebrating Mario's RPG history, from Geno or Mallow to Fawful, Midbis, or even Paper Mario himself. But since we have to only pick one, I think it should be Captain Toad. And I swear, it's not just because I cosplayed him that one time. Donkey Kong! While our favorite apes don't have as much representation as the likes of Mario, Pokemon, or Fire Emblem, they do have their bases fairly covered, with DK, Diddy, and K. Rool. But I still found three good candidates to discuss. First up is everyone's favorite surfer bro, Funky Kong. I mean, look at this dude, he rules. What else is there to say about him? Give this bad boy a surfboard, and that's all you need. Next is the original DK from the old arcade game. Cranky Kong is technically who he is. At first I didn't think much of him until I learned he was playable in Donkey Kong Country, where he uses his cane like a sword, which is dope as hell. However, neither of these cool dudes are winners. There was one character who was supposed to be in and didn't make the final cut who I think deserves it most. That character is obviously Dixie Kong. Rumor has it that her and Diddy Kong are going to be paired up together like the Ice Climbers in a 2-for-1 fighter like the old Donkey Kong Country games. So I say make her an echo of Diddy Kong, give her the iconic ponytail spin, and let her come home. The Legend of Zelda. Despite Zelda's status as one of Nintendo's main flagship franchises, their Smash representation is quite lacking. As much as my heart is telling me to pick Sidon from Breath of the Wild, as he's my favorite Nintendo character, there are three main candidates that stand out more here. First up is Midna. She's a fan favorite from Twilight Princess, and she has a lot of potential in her moveset, especially if you incorporate Wolf Link in it too. This sassy little gremlin creature feels like she should have been included a long time ago. Next up is Impa, who actually has multiple different directions you can take her character, like being a fast kunai-wielding ninja like she is in Breath of the Wild, to the great sword-wielding general from Hyrule Warriors. Lastly, we have Skull Kid from Majora's Mask. His status as one of the most iconic villains in the franchise, mixed with his mischief-loving personality and dark magics, makes for a really cool combination. His unique presentation and character design really stands out, and I know his inclusion would make a lot of people happy. Taking all this into consideration, the winner is quite clear, and obviously, it's Master Koga, baby! Using things like Fuse and Ultra Hand, this Looney Tunes-ass dude can fight alongside his Master Ganondorf as the new worst character in the game. I will be taking no further questions. Metroid. The Metroid games have always had this lonely and foreboding atmosphere. So Samus being the only protagonist from her franchise in Smash, where the other representatives that aren't just her again are all villains, makes total sense. Sure, we could pick some of the other bounty hunters from Metroid Prime Hunters, like Sylix or Weevil. Even though Sylix is confirmed to be in Metroid Prime 4, these guys just don't feel right to me. A new Smash fighter's gotta have some real oomph to him, you know? Someone who makes you go, oh hell yeah. And the character to do that is easily Ravenbeak from Metroid Dread. He's this towering and intimidating, almost Darth Vader-esque figure with so many cool attacks and tools you could use. Not to mention that he's already present in a 2D side-scroller game, so he'd be that much easier to port over as a Smash fighter. And more importantly than all of that, he could expand our playable birds to more than just Falco and Kazooie. Yoshi! Smash says Yoshi is his own franchise, so he gets a new representative. And, I don't know, Birdo, maybe? Even then, I don't really see her as anything more than an Echo Fighter. I don't know, this one's a bit weak, admittedly. I'd love to hear any better ideas. Kirby! So going against the grain again here, I'm going to say Marks instead of Bandanity. I know he's already a boss fight in Smash Ultimate, but I don't know, Marks' design is just so interesting to me. Juxtaposing his cute cartoony parts with these absolute eldritch horror parts has just so much potential. Like, come on guys, there's so much more here than Waddle Dee with Spear.
Star Fox.
Much like F-Zero, it's really impressive what the Smash team managed to do with the characters who rarely ever leave their spaceships. However, Crystal from Star Fox Adventures has some potential to be a unique staff-based fighter and stand out against the existing species. Nah, I mean, who am I kidding? We should add Slippy. I mean, he's got all those kids. He's gonna have to work overtime to feed them all.
Pokemon!
So this one, more so than just about any other franchise, besides maybe like Fire Emblem, has really so many different great options where I really can't decide. I ran this idea by my girlfriend and she actually suggested Pangoro, and I really liked that idea. I haven't seen any other Pokemon I personally like more for this position. All of my favorite Pokemon are things like Hisuian Arcanine and Growlithe, regular Arcanine and Growlithe, the small rotund chompy dipshits like Gible and Fuecoco who don't really feel like particularly strong Smash picks. I saw someone online suggest Armarouge and Ceruledge as a 2-in-1 fighter like Pythra, and that's a super cool idea I can get behind for sure. However, all that being said, if we're being realistic, then Meowscarada is the play here, and frankly, seems like one of the most likely characters they would add in any franchise, let alone this one. She's a representative of new Pokemon generation, which always happens with every game, and we already have a fully evolved Water Dark and Fire Dark starter on the roster in Greninja and Incineroar respectively, so we could complete the Dark starter trifecta as well as give Ivysaur some love as a fellow grass type.
Earthbound!
So I'm far from an Earthbound/Mother expert, so it wasn't immediately obvious who should get the coveted Smash invite. So I consulted my best friend Matt, who loves the Mother series like I love the Kingdom Hearts series, and asked him what his thoughts were. I had the feeling that Porky made the most sense as another Smash fighter, and after talking to Matt about it, I was proven right. He has other characters he would prefer, but he conceded that Porky was absolutely the correct play. He even sent me these two different moveset mockups that he found. So yeah, that settles that. Porky it is.
F-Zero!
So F-Zero is an interesting case here, and that it really isn't a character-focused franchise, and the only fighter we do have, Captain Falcon himself, was added onto the very first initial prototype moveset ever developed for Smash 64, and not actually given a moveset representative of who he is. However, I did recently see a cool idea for Black Shadow, another racer, and that is to give him Ganondorf's current moveset as a slower Captain Falcon semi-clone, and then change Ganondorf entirely. This way, we still get to keep the current Ganon moveset that people love, and Ganondorf himself gets to finally unshackle himself from Captain Falcon for good after 20 years of being stuck there. The only issue with this idea is, what is Black Shadow going to use as a sword? Like, I don't know, his car? Wait, hold on, I like that idea. Other than that though, I got nothing.
Ice Climber!
Ice Climber has absolutely nothing to work with, like at all. It's just jumping and vegetables. Like that's it. Our only option is like the bear with sunglasses, maybe. I don't know. However, moving from a franchise with no options to one with way too many, we have
Fire Emblem!
Oh boy, Fire Emblem. Look, I actually like you and all your silly, pretty little characters, and if we're being honest, your potential is actually insane with all the different characters. From fan favorites like Lyn and Hector, even Shez from Three Hopes would be cool, but if we're being realistic, it's probably Alear from Engage. We all know that they're probably getting in anyway, even if I didn't steal this document from Sakurai's mailroom. And you know what? I'm gonna say it. I think the Two-Faced Twins actually look cool. Y'all are just mean. Also, no, before you even think about asking, I would sooner set myself on fire than let that fascist Edelgard anywhere near my precious super duper Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Game and Watch.
Is there like a Mrs. Game & Watch or something? You know, the same overall aesthetic, but new moves. I'm really at a loss here. Let me know down in the comments if you think of anything better once you're done flaming me for hating on Edelgard again.
Kid Icarus.
Okay, so you know how at the start of the video, I said I was going to at least try to be objective with my picks and not just like slam down the characters I personally want? Well, that's all going out the window for this section because god damn it, I want Pyron from Kid Icarus Uprising. I just can't ever get enough of the cocky douchebag loser archetype in media, between the likes of him, Theseus, or Groose, so I'm locking in this dork for my list. Yes, I understand that Hades, Medusa over Reedy would be a better choice, but I don't care. Pyron fucking rules.
Villains are no match for Pyron!
Pyron? The sun god Pyron?
The one and only.
This wacko's the sun god?
WarioWare.
Yeah, it's Ashley. Her design is fantastic, and she'd be a cool area control mage who could even summon the other WarioWare characters for some of her moves. Her song is also an absolute banger. I don't really have anything else to add here. Yes, Waluigi is getting snubbed again because Ashley is actually a Wario character, so don't flame me in the comments for that one. Besides, I know you're still out there writing that Edelgard comment.
Tactical espionage action Metal Gear Solid.
You know, Metal Gear Solid has so many really good options that it'll be hard for me to pick the single best choice. Big Boss could work, but he would just likely be an echo of Solid Snake. Revolver Ocelot is another great choice, but the thought of fighting him makes me want to throw myself out into the sea. Gray Fox could be another neat addition, given that he's already Smash alumni as an assist trophy. However, let's be real, we all know it's Raiden. He's more prominent, he's well loved, and like Gray Fox, he also has the whole Cyber Ninja thing going for him. Sorry, Liquid Snake, this one isn't going to you. Those recessive genes of yours will leave you cursed to the spirit board forever.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
This is probably the single most criminally underrepresented franchise in all of Smash, so having to pick only one character is going to be really tough. Sonic has been here since Brawl, and he still has no friends or rivals to join him, and he's one of the single most recognizable characters in all the video games as a medium. There are a ton of different characters that you could justify, and each would be completely valid in their own right. It really boils down to 4 characters: Tails, Knuckles, Shadow, and Dr. Eggman. Each of these characters really bring something unique to the table and frankly do deserve that representation. Like, I would sooner give Sonic more representation over my favorite franchises like Kingdom Hearts and Legend of Zelda if given the chance. However, it wouldn't be a Valderrama video without some arbitrary self-imposed restrictions for the sake of content, so I gotta only pick one. Of these options, I feel like Eggman is the best play. He's so unique visually. I mean, look at this dickhead, he's perfect. And he could really stand out with his various machines and mechs, like the Egg Walker from Sonic Adventure 2, or the big-ass Wrecking Ball thing from the very first game. Also, he's really the biggest gaming all-star villain that we're still missing now that we have the likes of Bowser, Ganondorf, Ridley, and even Sephiroth. Honestly, he's straight up one of my actual most wanted fighters at this point just in general. I do, however, want to give a special shout out to Shadow. He would be a bit too similar to Sonic. Like, if I could get a second fighter, it's obviously going to be Shadow without a doubt, and even if he does get added before Eggman, I wouldn't even be mad. I should talk about Knuckles and Tails real quick too. Knuckles is already similar to me Brawler, and Tails, while I like him as gaming's second most popular Luigi, I just think Eggman beats him out here and has more to offer. All in all, Sonic the Hedgehog needs more, and I really hope he does get some someday, and if there was one singular franchise I would give a second fighter to, it would easily be Sonic, so we could have Eggman and Shadow.
Pikmin.
With the recent release of Pikmin 4, what was once a difficult quest to find a new representative from this franchise suddenly became a lot easier. Previously, the only thing I could really think of would be something like one of the other captains besides Olimar, and I guess Alf too, as a semi-clone where their moveset is very similar but maybe have some of the other different Pikmin types mixed in. However, that idea is weak and has no aura. We need some real fuck it we ball energy, and nobody else has that vibe better than my boy Ochi, the K9 battle bus. I don't know what he would do besides have a really mean dash attack, but I don't know, I just think he's neat.
Rob.
This one stumped me for a bit, but I think I found a really neat solution. You see, dear viewer, Rob is based on a peripheral add-on to the NES back in the day called the Robotic Operating Buddy, and there's another iconic addition that would be perfect for Smash in its own crazy WTF kind of way, and hear me out, that's the Power Glove. Think about it, how long have people been clamoring for a playable Master Hand? The Power Glove could basically be a smaller, playable version of Master Hand with a lot of similar moves, while also representing an iconic, if not for the memes, part of gaming history at the time. Why are you looking at me like that? It's a cool idea.
Animal Crossing.
This one led me to one of two paths, either Tom Nook or KK Slider, and Tom doesn't really strike me as a fighter, even less so than Isabelle, so I think KK is the way to go here. Think about it, lads. He could have music and rhythm be a core part of his gameplay, and I think it'd be really cool if executed well. Also, for my Dungeons & Dragons fans out there, we pretty much have every other archetype sort of represented in Smash except for the Humble Bard, so he could fill out that very specific niche. Hold up, I may actually make a separate video in the future. Expect a What Dungeons & Dragons classes every Smash Fighter video down the line. Anyway, moving on.
Mega Man.
While Mega Man has literally hundreds of legitimately awesome and viable options, it all really leads to Zero and his laser sword as the best bet here. So that's what we're gonna go with. Like, Mega Man is up there with Pokemon and Fire Emblem for its sheer volume of options. Characters like Bass or Mega Man EXE are all great options too, but it really does have to be Zero here. What the hell else are we really gonna be? Dr. Wily? Wait, no, hold on, that rules actually.
Wii Fit.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I forgot that Wii Fit Trainer even existed. Honestly, please let me know if y'all have any ideas. I'm genuinely more stumped here than I was finding stuff for like Ice Climbers. As of right now, all I got is like Ring Fit guy, I guess. Wii Fit balance board, maybe? Let me know down in the comments if you think of something better.
Punch Out.
I can't imagine how lonely it must be to wear the weight of the crown King Bowser currently wears as the single heaviest character. Perhaps it may be time for him to gracefully step aside and let another chunkier, beefier, heavier king step into the run. And who else can do that other than, okay, yeah, I'm talking about King Hippo. Yeah, he would be absolutely disgustingly heavy, where he has a souped up version of Bowser's tough guy, but has like an even worse recovery than Little Mac. And if that turns out to be an absolutely unviable toxic character concept, I don't know, I just add like Mr. Sandman or that bastard Aaron Ryan instead, I guess. But if I can make King Hippo work, then he's 100% who I'm picking. I think he's probably the single most recognizable and unique fighter from Punch-Out. And also, I see you there. Stop writing that cheeky comment and scroll back up, okay? I'm not adding Mike Tyson as the Punch-Out rep, okay? It ain't happening.
Me.
The Miis are an interesting case as they're more of a concept than actual fighters. The main thing that always stuck out to me as something that we were missing would be some sort of Mii mage or wizard of some kind. Loath as I am to add another goddamn annoying zoner to this game, there are plenty of other ways it could be differentiated from Gunner, which would be the most similar option. Plus, it allows me to add Donald Duck from Kingdom Hearts as a Mii skin, and I think that's funny.
Pac-Man.
My heart says Sir Pac-a-Lot, but my brain says Miss Pac-Man, and the Pac-Man franchise is not a hill I am willing to die on. I really don't care. Moving on.
Xenoblade Chronicles.
Now, with Xenoblade, we run into the opposite problem. There's like way too many potential options here. Obviously, the frontrunner is a character who everyone expects to be in Smash moving forward anyway, and that's Noah from Xenoblade Chronicles 3, but I also really like Elma as an option to represent Xenoblade Chronicles X. However, my heart really wants Ricky to make the jump from assist trophy to full fighter as the best option here. But ultimately, I know we gotta go with Noah if we're being realistic.
Duck Hunt.
Okay, I had to do a ton of research here to figure out anything to do with Duck Hunt in any satisfying way. Duck Hunt as a game really doesn't leave us with much, so I decided to expand my thinking a bit, and I figured they mostly represented the NES light gun as a whole. So I looked into other games it was compatible with other than Duck Hunt because there's nothing else you can do with that game. Duck Hunt's moveset also references the games Hogan's Alley and Wild Gunman, so I decided to avoid those for reference as well. I did, however, find out about a game called Gumshoe, where you play as a detective named Mr. Stevenson trying to find his daughter who was like kidnapped by the mafia or something. So even though I can think of hundreds of characters who should be in Smash before him, Mr. Stevenson qualifies for Smash in this very niche way. So Mr. Stevenson is my pick for Duck Hunt in Smash 6.
Street Fighter.
Street Fighter is another example of a franchise with a ton of great characters and options to add, like Blanca, Zangief, Cammy, and M. Bison, but I'm not going to waste your time here. We all know the only character that really comes to mind, and that's Chun-Li. She would fit into Smash effortlessly well, and she'd be a legitimately great addition to the game, and there's not really much else to say beyond that.
Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy is another interesting case, simply because I don't know if we are limited to FF7 specifically, or if we have access to the entire franchise. Even with the whole franchise at your disposal, Cloud and Sephiroth are the two characters that come to mind first and foremost anyway, so I'm going to say a different thing depending on what we do here. If we do limit it to just Final Fantasy VII, I'm going to go against the grain a bit here, and would say that Barrett would be my choice. I know most people would say Zack or Tifa, but Barrett I think would be more fun and interesting. Maybe it's because he's my favorite FF7 character, but I digress. However, if we go the route of looking at the entire franchise, that really blows the doors wide open for our options. We got like characters like Zidane and Vivi from Final Fantasy IX, Squall from FF8, Terra from FF6, Lightning from FF13, Titus from FF10, Noctis from FF15. But you know what? I stole this list from Sakurai's Garbage fair and square. I said I will do my best not to just lock in who I personally want the most, but I'm giving myself a pass here. I'm picking Clive Rosfield from Final Fantasy XVI because that game fucking rules. Call him a basic sword guy all you want, but everything about him is just so goddamn cool. His swordplay, flashy icon moves, everything. You could literally just pull all of his moves from Tekken 8 if you really wanted to, and he would have the sickest Final Smash since Joker's all-out attack because you know it would be accept the truth. If you know, you know.
Bayonetta!
As of me writing this, I've still never played Bayonetta before, so I don't know all too well the cast, but that Roden guy who appears as an assist trophy seems pretty cool, so I'm picking him. But you could totally add Jean or make her a full fighter and move Bayo's ult based on her and call it a day too. I don't know.
Splatoon.
Splatoon honestly should just add the Octoling as a pseudo Echo fighter a la Isabelle and Villager, just with different weapons. Easy.
Castlevania.
Castlevania is the easiest franchise on this list to add another character from, and it's Alucard. There is no argument or angle for anyone else. I understand why they opted to add Belmonts first. They as a concept are very iconic to the franchise. However, if Castlevania were to have one main character whose perspective we see the whole story through, it would absolutely be Alucard. And if his assist trophy is anything to go by, his moveset would rule. That being said, Soma Cruz gets an honorable mention here.
Persona.
Much like Final Fantasy, Persona is one where I can't tell if it's limited to just Persona 5 or Persona as a whole. If we're looking at just Persona 5, as much as it pains me to say this, that bastard Akechi is the one that makes the most sense either way. His status as a villain and rival to Joker with a really neat visual design lends itself well to being a Smash fighter. However, if Persona as a franchise is on the table, I think our best play is no doubt Aigis from Persona 3, as she really is the heart of that story and is ascended to being a mascot of the franchise just as much as Jack Frost. However, again, if this list was purely about what I would want, then I would immediately pick my boy Ryuji, my precious, scrungly punk with a heart of gold. Though I might also pick Kanji, because hitting Luigi with a folding chair sounds funny.
Dragon Quest.
Dragon Quest is the slime, and I won't be hearing any other options. Its design is iconic, funny, and very different from any other fighters we would be adding. Not to mention that it was actually being considered as an option before they settled on this hideous greasy-haired fashion disaster of a character. That being said, if we were to loosen the restrictions from it has to be Dragon Quest specifically to character from a Square Enix developed turn-based RPG designed by Akira Toriyama, then it would be Chrono from Chrono Trigger. Generic as he may be, now that I have Sora as a playable character, Chrono is probably my single most wanted character to join Smash, other than maybe Master Koga. Either way, I'm getting sidetracked. We all know it's the slime. Speaking of slime, there seems to be this weird smudge here on the bottom of the paper that I stole from Nintendo. Let me get a closer look at it. Oh, it's actually special instructions. It says, don't forget to feed the algorithm robot. What? Oh yeah, this is a YouTube video. The algorithm is getting hungry. Quick, maybe if we keep the robot fed, it will distract the Nintendo ninjas so they don't come find me. The robot feeds on engagement, so quick, go back and finish those comments about Mike Tyson and Edelgard. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe once you're done with that and scrolling all the way back up. Okay, cool, so far so good. However, I think there's still some ninjas that are onto me. If you go follow me over on Twitch and Blue Sky, that would really keep them off of me. I'm currently playing through every Smash Fighter's most iconic game, and I would love if you were to join me. Okay, back to the real video.
Banjo-Kazooie.
Banjo-Kazooie is another very easy franchise for me to pick a character for, and that would be Gruntilda. She's the main villain, she's funny, goofy, and has a completely different design than anything else we have in that game. And if I couldn't pick Gruntilda, I genuinely have no goddamn idea what I would do. Moving on. Speaking of franchises where I have no idea what I would do, we have
Fatal Fury.
Luckily for me, my best friend Nico is a big FGC guy who knows the franchise way better than me. So I asked them what they said, and here's what they said. So let's go with that guy, I guess. Kaio Kusanagi. And if you have an issue with that pick, I don't have the knowledge to defend it, and I promise you, my friend Nico doesn't care. Moving on.
ARMS.
ARMS is a game where literally any of the playable characters would work as a viable option, so it really comes down to personal preference. I personally really like Twintel and Max Brass as our options here. I actually had a hard time deciding which one, but ultimately, as much as I adore his cocky Johnny Bravo-ass design, the idea of a heavyweight Min-Min makes me want to die. So as a result, Max Brass is ultimately not going to make my list, so I'm picking Twintel here. Plus, she has regular arms to hold items with, so she doesn't look as awkward as Min-Min.
Minecraft.
Minecraft. This is actually kind of tough. I guess I'll go with a skeleton riding a spider, maybe? We don't really have a mounted cavalry character, so I guess it could be interesting. Their recovery could be throwing an Eye of Ender, which I guess is neat. That's about all I got, though.
Tekken.
With Tekken, I'm going to cheat a bit and not pick Jin or Heihachi or King like most people would, and instead I have a bit of a unique idea I'm quite proud of. I would actually go with Yoshimitsu, mostly because his unique nature where he represents not only Tekken, but Soul Calibur as well. He would fight very differently from other sword fighters as a reference to how weird and janky he is in his home games. Additionally, he could even fight Link in his trailer as a fun callback to the time that Link was in Soul Calibur 2 for the GameCube way back in the day.
Kingdom Hearts.
Lastly, we have Kingdom Hearts, my personal favorite video game franchise of all time, and we have a ton of viable options here, with Riku, Roxas, and even Vanitas being the main frontrunners that most people discuss with the idea. However, I'm not going to choose either of them, and to keep things fair, I'm not even choosing the character I would personally like to see the most being Kairi, even though she is who I would immediately pick as a Sora Echo fighter, believe it or not. No, for Kingdom Hearts, I'm actually going to pick Aqua. I feel like Riku, Roxas, Vanitas, and even Kairi would play too similarly to Sora and not add a whole lot of new ideas mechanically. However, Aqua has a very different and unique playstyle compared to Sora, where she has stronger defense and magic compared to his faster and flashier Keyblade combos. She also has become a very popular character and even a face of the franchise in her own right, and I really think Aqua would be the best fit for another Kingdom Hearts character, but I would totally understand if you thought we should go with Goofy or Piglet considering how badass they are.
Bonus round. Wait, does that say me skins?
Okay guys, I actually found enough money in the budget for Cuphead and Undertale to get 2 new Mii skins here, so we're gonna get Mugman and Papyrus to join them as Mii skins. Yay! Additionally, I left one line on the paper I stole from Nintendo blank, so I'm bringing this to you now. Write down in the comments who you specifically would like to see most as a Mii skin, and I will officially consider the top voted comment as my official stance as well. Alright lads, that's that. I had a lot of fun making this video, and this one was actually one of the very first video ideas that I had, so it felt really good hunkering down and making this one happen. As per usual, I want to thank you for watching and commenting and feeding the robot as you guys usually do for me, and I wanted to thank all of the people who helped me make this video happen. I really want to hear what you guys think. Am I wrong for picking, I don't know, Alucard for Castlevania instead of Shaft, the evil wizard who kidnapped all those women back in Rondo of Blood? It'll be a hard sell, but I'll let you cook. Let me know in the comments. In the meantime, I yearn once again for the content mines, and so away I must go to dig up the next gem for you lads. Have a good one, my friends.